Welcome everybody to Tactical Tuesday. Here we are in February already. Can you believe it? And we're starting our FAQ, Frequently Asked Questions February. And so tonight we're going to be talking about something that is frequently asked. What about building? What about building a purpose-built rental? How does that work? Is it viable? Does it make sense to do that? We're going to bring on a guest tonight that you met last week. You've probably met many times before. We've had him on our show before. And that's exactly what he's doing now. So we're going to talk through the process. Does it work? How easy is it? Is it difficult? Lots of different questions that we're going to ask tonight. So guys, hang on, because we're going to be bringing you some really cool content here over the next hour or so. And here we go. We're going to get started with our Tactical Tuesday FAQ February.
Hey guys, it's Corey and Tiffany, and we're the co-founders of Investor Life.
And we help investors scale their portfolios using other people's money. Fearless, welcome to another Tactical Tuesday.
Welcome to another Tactical Tuesday. We have a really cool topic that we're going to be talking about tonight. This, guys, I hope is a scenario that shows you the power of leveraging your money.
We help investors take their portfolios from 2 or 3, 5 properties maybe, up to 15, 20, 50 properties if that's what they're wanting to.
Really, the sky's the limit. And we help investors scale their portfolio.
For free weekly live trainings that we do over there on Facebook. Thanks for...
Hey guys, it's Corey from Investor Life, and Tiffany just stuck out her tongue at me. Okay.
Yeah, that was a bad rendition. But guys, today, what wreck people in real estate? We're going to be talking about that, and we're going to make sure that it doesn't happen to you.
Welcome back, everybody. Really cool topic that we're going to talk about tonight, and something that I'm really excited about, and something that I think that I'm going to probably do, or we are going to probably do over the next coming months, or the next year. Look at building something, a purpose-built rental, something where we're going to have multiple suites in it, where maybe it qualifies for a different kind of financing. All of these things come together where, hey, think about it. If you have something that's new or newer, less repairs, less maintenance, maybe warranty involved. All of these types of things come into play that makes it really, really cool. So you're going to attract high quality tenants. It's likely going to be in a newer neighborhood. All of these things are really, really good prospects, opportunities. So that's what we're here about tonight, guys. We're going to talk about what is working these days for investors. This whole month, throughout the month of October, we're going to be doing frequently asked questions. And the question that we get all the time is, does it make sense to be building new? Why would I want to build new versus maybe buying something that's already used, maybe giving it a renovation, adding some money into it? Why would I want to go new? Is there risks involved in going new? And if there are, what are those risks? So there's so many things that we can look at tonight. Hopefully with our discussion tonight, you're going to get a little bit of a clearer picture. Is this something that maybe fits for you, for your portfolio? Is this something maybe that you would invest in passively as a passive investor with somebody maybe that is taking care of all the work for you? Is this something that you would want to be a working partner on and bring in investment dollars? So there's so many different angles we can look at, but we're going to talk to one of our Ignited members, and you guys saw him last week. He was one of the people that shared a lot of really good insights about joint venturing as we concluded our joint venture January, and bringing in, raising capital, investment dollars, equity partners, joint venture partners into a deal. Brian Banks has been one of our Ignited members for a number of years now, and has kind of branched off into something a little different than he's done before. And so we're going to talk to him about that tonight. So let's just, first of all, before we bring on Brian, I'm just going to have a look at the chat here, guys. And I see everyone from Oshawa to Panorama to Markham, Ontario. Sean Impey from St. Albert, home of Brian Banks, he says. Yes, they should put up a sign, shouldn't they? Home of Brian Banks as you enter St. Albert. I think that might be coming in the future. Angie and Andrew from Saskatoon. Lisa from the Edmonton area. Fort Saskatchewan. Ermel from Moncton. Amanda and Karina from Edmonton. Urshad, hope no snow in Moncton like Sydney. For goodness sakes, I hear you guys have been blasted with snow out there. Ottawa, Victoria, Nanaimo, Chemainus, BC. Super cool, guys. So Gary, nice to have you on with us from Chemainus, BC. Cool little town with a bunch of murals on a lot of buildings. That's what I remember about Chemainus when I've been there. New Brunswick, yeah, all across the country. What's the point, guys? The point is we have a topic tonight that I think is going to interest a lot of you. So let's just get right into it. Let's bring on our guest tonight, Brian, and I'm going to add him to the stage now. Welcome, Brian, to another version of our Tactical Tuesday. And we're going to talk about new builds tonight, Brian. Welcome.
Thanks, Corey. Thanks for having me. Great to be here. And that's Sean Impey. He sure knows how to flatter a guy. St. Albert, the home of Sean Impey here. So
yeah, that's right.
We're almost neighbors.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, well, everybody in the chat here, Brian is saying, hello, Brian. Brian, the man, Banks is what Craig and Lisa are saying. And so a lot of them are saying thank you for coming on and sharing some of your wisdom, Brian. And you know what? That's the thing about this whole thing of real estate is that a lot of us as investors see things from different angles, or we see things because of the experiences that we've had when it comes to real estate investment. And you've had multiple different experiences when it comes to real estate. I know we've known you for a number of years now. You have renovated a number of properties. You have done kind of the full gamut, we could say, when it comes to real estate investment. But tonight we're going to focus a little bit on a project that you have going on now and some of the projects that you've been working on, and that is building new or developing new properties. So let's talk about that a bit. Why did you go from buying older, renovating, renting out, to building new? Was there something that stood out for you that said, hey, building new has a bit of an advantage for you?
For sure, yeah. So it's very, when you think about it, it's very much the same and very similar to what we were doing. Yes, it is new construction, but it still is the value add component. You're still adding value to that property, bring it to its highest and best use. What many people are familiar with, the BRRRR method or the BRRRR process, it still is that. It's just a build BRRRR or a build and hold version of that. So you're still, adding all that value and refinancing out, at a higher value. And then it's still similar in the fact that what we were doing before, focusing on the legal basement suites, with converting a bungalow to a legal suite. This is that, it's just that there's 3 or 4 of them in the same building. So it's a very similar strategy, similar model with a main floor and a basement suite, just more of the economy of scale. So that's where really we saw, I guess, more fruits or more reward for our efforts, or more return for our time in doing it in a little bit of a bigger scale. So more reasons to that. Of course, the CMHC-MLI Select that we'll talk about came into play, which makes it really attractive.
Okay. So let me ask you, you're kind of saying it's similar to a BRRRR type strategy. So instead of buying an older building and renovating it, what you're doing, so clarify for me, are you looking for lots with old decrepit houses on them that you're going to tear down and now build something new? or are you looking for lots that are just brand new lots in brand new neighborhoods? Or what kind of, like, the strategy that you're using, what kind of land are you looking for?
Yeah, yeah, good question. So we are doing infill construction. So
Okay.
different than a new subdivision in a new area and a new build. So we are working within the city limits, or
Yeah.
specifically in Edmonton within the Anthony Henday Ring Road.
Okay.
So this model aligns with the city plan of growing the city of Edmonton by 1 million people. Uh,
Mhm.
50% of the 1 million people they want to grow by, they want to see through infill construction and increasing density
Mhm.
within the Anthony Henday or the mature areas of Edmonton. So, um,
Okay.
so
Good point that you're bringing up there is that the city of Edmonton in particular, and this might not be the case for all cities out there, but the city of Edmonton in particular is saying we want 50% of our growth to happen within the confines of that ring road, right? Like on the
right.
insides, which means that older housing needs to be removed, newer housing come in. Let's increase the density in some of these areas so that we have more housing near the center of our city.
Absolutely, and utilizing the existing resources that's already in place of the infrastructure, the all the underground pipe, the water and sewer and roads and schools and like all the infrastructure, the amenities that come with it. The cost of developing new in on new land is astronomical versus,
Mhm.
when you're getting into creating everything new. So
Mhm.
we have in Edmonton, we have a lot of small little houses, older houses. And back to your question of, maybe they are in already tear down condition or unlivable condition and they're at the end of their life, and ready to come down, but they sit on a lot of land and a big lot that can be utilized, bringing one single family home to an 8-unit building. So we don't necessarily look specifically for that type of product. Uh, what we actually do prefer is finding a home that is in rentable condition, and it gives us
Mhm.
the opportunity to buy it and then rent it for the first 6 months while we
Mhm.
do our planning, our design work and through all the engineering and permitting process that takes 6 months. Anyways, you can have a tenant that is covering some of the costs of your home. So
Mhm.
that's another option of having that. And then further to that, maybe demolishing the house is not always the answer. We are looking to remove, like relocate and repurpose the existing home, by
Mhm.
selling it. So that's an interesting play that we have. We just did actually last fall. So, that's
Ah.
it's another option.
So just throw some numbers at me, Brian. Okay, I buy a property for X number of dollars, and now there's a house on it, and I'm going to sell that house and have someone else remove it, or someone else move it, or sell it so it goes somewhere else instead of demolishing it and sending it to landfill. Uh, do I make any money doing that, or does it cost me money to do that?
Yeah, so it is a profit center or a positive impact to the project. So to demolish a house in the city of Edmonton, before the city of Edmonton will issue a demolition permit to tear a house down, you need to go through a process of sampling for asbestos. So you need to get the
Mhm.
asbestos sample. There are a whole bunch of different materials within the house sampled for asbestos. And if it's positive for asbestos, you need to remove that. So you need to do a
Okay.
remediation and an asbestos abatement. So that in itself can cost $20,000.
Okay.
No problem. 15, $20,000 right there. So there's that cost that you're not taking on by removing the house and selling it off. So you're saving that. And then there's the actual demolition cost of tearing down the house. So
Yeah.
that in itself can be another $20,000. So
Yeah.
in this case, we sold the existing property, the existing home. We sold it for $20,000. So we
Okay.
saved the asbestos abatement, we saved the demolition, and we sold the house for
Okay.
$20,000. So this can be anywhere from, a $50,000 or $60,000 positive swing to the project.
Okay.
Plus, the end buyer wins by getting a new home that's half, or a refurbished home that's half the cost of building new. The project wins, of course, and as you mentioned, the environment wins of saving this house in the landfill. So, I think it's
Hmm.
a great strategy all the way around, and yeah, it can work well. So,
Absolutely. Okay. So everybody that's watching this and maybe hasn't gone through this process before, there's probably some little light bulbs going on. Okay. So, maybe they're starting to think, okay, well, maybe here's some neighborhoods where have bigger lots, older homes. Here's some strategies that I can put to work that might, benefit me as an investor. I like it. And so, not only are you saving the environment, not only are you making a win for the buyer of that house, but
mhm.
obviously you're saving money, which goes towards the project and increases your ROI. So I don't see a downside here. So you find a property like this, you find a home that can be moved, you find all of these things. What's kind of the next step after that? Like, okay, here's a prospect. How do I determine if that prospect is, if that lot is a good lot to be buying, if I can maximize the use on that lot? Kind of, where do I go from here?
Yeah. So you want to make sure, well, first of all, the zoning. So the zoning is a big one, and that is another big change that just happened in Edmonton in the fall. So Edmonton is very pro development and progressive when it comes to, you know, um, increasing the density into our city and growing the city. So we just went through a zoning bylaw change that has been decades. I think the last time the zoning bylaw was changed was 1940s, like it was a long time ago. So
Yeah.
anyways, this has been a many years in the making, but it did get approved and took effect of January 1st this year. So what that did was eliminate the need for rezoning. So
Mhm.
typically there was an RF1 zone, and you had to rezone it up to an RF3 to allow the small multifamily to be built. So now that's eliminated. All these lots now in these same areas of the mature areas are now zoned for these 8-unit buildings. So it eliminates that process, which is time. It's about a 4-month process, and costs some money. So that is now opens up a lot of opportunity. It opens up a ton of new inventory or lots that are candidates for doing this on. So that's step one, I mean, which is pretty much a green light now. And
Mhm.
it's going to open things up. So the next thing is the size of your lot. So you want to make sure there's definitely a minimum size that you're going to want to fit a building like this on there. So but many of the lots are 50 by 150 or 50 by 140, or even as narrow as 40 by 140. You don't want to get into too much smaller than that. It
Okay.
doesn't fit. So that's the next thing is your lot size. And from there, essentially step one in the whole development process is establishing your design and getting your
Yeah.
design started. That's step one, and that starts the process.
Okay. So let me just clarify. If I want to build 8 units on a lot, am I hearing this right? That if I want to buy 8 units on a lot, or I want to build 8 units on a lot, that the minimum size would be 40 by 140?
That'll fit. Yeah. That'll
Okay.
that'll work. Yeah.
So, so if I have a lot, zoning changes right now, and it's 40 by 140, I can fit 8 units on there. Now that is seriously maximizing best use of that land, isn't it?
It is. It gets tight. It's not
Yeah.
ideal, but it can work.
Okay.
Uh, right. So, and some of the design configurations we're working with will fit on that. So, that might look like something different, that it's a threeplex with basement suites and perhaps a double garage suite in the back to get your
Yeah.
8 units,
Okay.
right? So yeah.
So is the point here, the more units we put on that lot, the better off we're going to do? Or would it make sense if the lot is a little smaller, let's say it's 40 by 140 instead of 60 by 150, would it make sense to just do 6 units instead of 8? Like, how do you make the decision as to how many units to put on that property?
Yeah, I think, and we've gone through this analysis, and you can actually get up to 10, but I
Okay.
think 8 units is that sweet spot. The numbers work really well. I think they operate, they function and flow very well on a operational standpoint and a property management standpoint. 6 works well, as well, but if you can get the additional 2 units on there, that can make sense. So, you got to think about, other factors, like we all know the most expensive thing in this is having tenant turnover, when we're managing a property, tenant turnover or vacancies. So we want to we want to keep our tenants happy. We want them comfortable, and staying long-term. So I think, a 6 or 8 unit, it works well for that. 10 units might be a little bit too dense and might have, the numbers might look really well, right, on paper. But in reality, there might be a lot of tenant turnover, higher vacancy. The neighbors might not like that. It might be a little bit invasive to the neighborhood. So there might be some intangible issues that come with that.
I love what you just said, Brian. And that to me is a real investor that is really doing this as a business for years on end. That's what they say. And you know what? There's a difference between what a spreadsheet says and what reality is. And a spreadsheet can look better. We can make a spreadsheet look better by throwing more units on there. But if that's going to make us pull our hair out, or if that's going to make us not sleep at night because of tenant turnover, or our tenants aren't going to be happy because they feel jammed in, or the neighbors aren't going to be happy, then there's so many extra things that come along with it that maybe it's not better to go with the full 10. Maybe it's better to go with 8. Maybe it's better to go with that sweet spot so they all have a little bit more room. All of these things make a ton of sense. And I think for those that are listening now, just remember that regardless, whether you're building or whether you're buying something and renovating it, whatever the case might be, it doesn't just come down to how the numbers look on a spreadsheet. It also, the biggest factor really is what kind of tenants are you going to attract? And what is your lifestyle going to be like if you have to deal with those tenants and for a long period of time? And so seriously, a good point there. Okay. I love it. So I want to go back to something you mentioned earlier too, and just bring it out because I thought it was important too, is that one of the things you looked for was a house that you could actually rent out to tenants for maybe 6 months or a year while you go through the process of getting your design made and all of those sorts of things. So, you buy a property, what kills us in some of these things is the carrying costs, right? So now you're saying in Edmonton in particular, our carrying costs might be reduced by 4 months because we don't have to worry about zoning anymore. If we now bought a property with a house on it that we could rent out to tenants for 6 months or maybe a year while we go through the process of design, etc., that's going to make a difference as far as our carrying costs are concerned. So those are really big additional wins that we can add in to an investment.
Absolutely. It opens up a lot more property that makes this doable as well. And it might justify paying a little bit more for it or paying market value for it. We don't have to worry about getting the deeply discounted, property that's condemned and ready to come down. If we pay fair market value for a good condition property, we can maybe make up for those costs in, people might think, oh, that's not a tear down. It's in too good a condition. It's got new windows or, whatever. What if we don't tear it down? What if we actually repurpose it and relocate it elsewhere to another lot or a lake lot, and it becomes a cabin, or someone else buys it, and so and that can shift in the numbers of the project.
Absolutely. Diana asked a good question. She asked it a few minutes ago. Wouldn't a buyer, so let's assume that you're selling that house now and it does have asbestos. So now you don't have to deal with the asbestos, but it says, so would a buyer not want to know if there is asbestos? Is it made known to potential buyers, or is it just buy as is? So whether a house has asbestos or not, obviously I would assume you would know that going in.
100%. Yeah. So 9 out of 10 of these houses, or even more than that, have asbestos.
Okay.
The,
So you're
the,
going to
the
assume
air,
it has.
we always budget for asbestos removal. Whether we're
Okay.
doing it or not, we are budgeting for it, because it's a good chance that's something that's going to have to be dealt with.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And so obviously if you were to sell that house and it gets moved somewhere by somebody else, they would likely know that it has asbestos as well, right? Like that becomes their concern, not yours, correct?
Exactly. Yeah, it's sold as is where it is.
Yeah.
You're not disturbing any of the house, so you're not disturbing the asbestos,
Okay.
So yeah, asbestos is safe if it's left undisturbed.
Okay. Gotcha.
It's when it's disturbed and the particles are airborne where it becomes harmful. So that's
Gotcha.
yeah, that goes on to the next buyer. I know you did mention also, the logistics and moving cost of that. The moving cost is also on the buyer.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
in this circumstance, I helped to coordinate that, and
Okay.
facilitated that. I was already doing my research with the building moving company, and
Yeah.
connected the mover company with the new buyer, and linked them together just to help the process along.
I'm just curious, a side question. How far did the house go?
2 hours away. Yeah,
Okay.
it went near Barhead to a lake. It
Okay.
ended up at a lake lot near Barhead, and the
Oh,
buyer, it was using it as their primary residence.
okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Do you
so
know roughly what that cost to move it 2 hours away?
yeah, so the quote that the quote that I got was $43,500.
Wow. Okay.
So I never did follow up with the buyer of what the final landing cost was, but somewhere in that 45K mark.
Okay.
And that quote did include within 2 hours of the city limits.
Okay.
So
Interesting.
so that cost is on them. But if it's $45,000 plus the 20 that they purchased, that's 65.
Yeah.
And then on the other end, they still need to, have their all their site servicing and foundation in place and that's what happened. It went from point A to point B on the new foundation. We
Yeah.
took all the measurements and the dimensions of the existing home in Edmonton, and the new buyer built his foundation at the other end,
Wow.
and it went on a truck from point A to point B, pretty seamlessly. And yeah, so that, I would figure he's probably 100K all in.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, he has a property that he can live in, and it's projected. I projected about 200K to rebuild that brand new.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So a win for him. Okay, cool. I love it. That's awesome. I've always been curious about that. Like, what does it cost to move something like that? And you see shows on TV about that. But okay, good to know. That's how it works. All right. So next question that we're going to talk about here is financing is a big thing when it comes to new builds, and something that scares a lot of people away from maybe doing a new build because it's a little more difficult, and you got draw mortgages and you got construction mortgages and you got this and you got that. So how does the process, how have you been working it in your scenario? And are you using the MLI Select from CMHC to do this because you have 6 or 8 or 10 units on property?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. We're utilizing MLI Select. It's too good not to.
Yeah.
It really does seem too good to be true, but it is real, and we're doing it. And now we've proved the concept of it. So yeah, that's so the way that it does work. And this is a big one that I don't know if many people understand or are clear on when you're developing a property. The financing is based on the loan to cost. So
Okay.
loan to project cost, not loan to value.
Okay.
So that's a big difference, and we'll get into that and explain why. So to get into so there's kind of three components to doing this, and it really is a game of financing. It's a big financing game. So there's kind of breaking it down into three different segments of the initial purchase of the property, the construction financing of the property, and then rolls into the takeout long-term financing of the property. So the construction financing is CMHC MLI Select, and that rolls into the MLI takeout. So what is required to get into the CMHC on MLI Select construction financing? What the big thing that they want to see, they have a long list of requirements. They ask for a lot, but what we do need is 5% of clear equity, 5% loan to cost, 5% of the project cost. So what that equates to is, for sake of conversation, if your project costs $2 million, all in, land and construction, all in cost $2 million, CMHC wants to see 5% of that, $100,000 of free and clear equity into that deal to enroll into the construction financing program.
Okay, so could your clear equity be money that you have, like when you initially buy it? Or, okay, walk me through that process. When you initially buy this lot, you're going to put money down, you're going to have a down payment. Are you using CMHC right from the very beginning, or are you using different financing when you buy this derelict home or whatever it might be on this lot?
Yeah, different financing. So the CMHC construction loan comes about 8 months down the road.
Okay.
8 months from somewhere 6 to 9 months down the line. So on the front end, when you're purchasing this property, you really have three different ways of purchasing it. The ideal way is purchasing it outright in cash. Okay, so you can buy it cash. You can buy it with a conventional mortgage. Some cautions there for sure, or maybe a lower loan to value going into that. And then, with a private lender or private financing, a private loan type situation to purchase the property. So you have the initial purchase, and then you have to get through all this, what's called the soft cost of the project. So with the construction project, you have the hard cost and you have the soft cost.
Okay.
Hard cost is everything related to the actual construction. So by the time you dig a hole in the ground and start building, the soft cost is everything that comes before that, and it is related to the design work, the engineering work, the permitting work. So that's the first 6 months of your project is all of that soft cost. Okay, so when I'm talking to an investor, or an investor is interested in doing this, what we prepare them for is roughly in the 450,000 mark as an initial amount of capital required. So that's,
and what does that cover? So I give you, let's say I give you $500,000. Okay. What does that cover? Does that buy the lot and the house, and we own that free and clear, and then now there's money left over? Like, run me through some of these numbers, Brian.
Yeah, sure. So what that covers, the 450 would cover purchase price of the lot and the soft cost.
Okay.
To get us to an approved building permit, the stage of an approved building permit, which comes roughly 6-7 months down the road.
Okay.
and eventually that's going to carry us into the CMHC construction financing component.
Okay.
So that 450, there's a significant amount of capital that's required to do that, of purchasing the lot and funding the soft cost. But that 450 is only in there temporarily until about that 8-month mark when the CMHC construction loan comes into place.
Yeah.
What's very interesting, what's very intriguing about this program is what happens when that CMHC construction loan comes into place. They take over the first position, or on that first draw, they pay out all the costs to date. They
Okay.
pay out all the costs to date, short of the 5% required equity.
Okay.
So of that 450 that you might go ahead.
Yeah. Sorry. You're just going to explain this, but I put in 450. This is a $2 million project. I put in 450. That's in there for 8 months. When the CMHC kicks in, it pays me up all the costs short of the $100,000. So I'm getting 350 back in 8 months.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is where it becomes pretty magical.
Okay.
that $100,000 is your 5% of required equity, and that's what you need to be prepared to leave in the deal long term, because that 100K stays in right through construction, and it rolls into the takeout financing.
Okay.
So that's kind of the way it works. And then there's the loan to cost component. So on this same $2 million project, the loan amount is funded based on the $2 million project cost.
Okay.
The value of the property might be worth 2.2 or 2.3 or 2.4, but we're not funding based on loan to value. We're funding on loan to cost.
Okay.
On the 2 million. So it does a few things. It lowers our risk in many ways, because we're funded on loan to cost, where we have all that value added equity built into the project through developing. We have all that equity to protect us and buffer us from any dip or downturn in the market.
Mm-hmm.
So our true loan to value is a lot lower.
Okay.
And then when we get into the operations of it, as a rental property, we have a lower loan amount and a lower mortgage payment. So the operations are performing better than if you were to put the loan on the 2.2 or 2.3, 2.4.
So what I hear from that is that if I were an investor investing with you, Brian, my money is safer because the loan to value is lower on the property. So the loan to cost might be 95% because, you only have the 5% in there, but the loan to value might be 90, 85, 80, somewhere in there. So I have more margin in there for error.
Yes, precisely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. So give me an idea. Is $2 million what these things cost? Or have you done one for 1.1 and one for 3.7? Like, are we using a legitimate number? Is 2 million roughly what to do what you're doing? Is that what they cost? Are you there, Brian? Did we lose Brian? Can you guys hear me? Can you see me? Put it in the chat if you can hear me. Brian is paused, and I would love to hear if I'm the one that's paused or if you guys can see me or hear me. Throw it in the chat, please.
There we go.
Oh, you're back, Brian. You're back. You're back. Brian froze. We got you. Okay, perfect. All right, we're back, guys. Okay, so I can't remember my question. Did you hear it, Brian, by chance? Oh, he's frozen again. Okay, guys. So here we go. You're kind of getting a picture of what the numbers are like here on something like this, how the process kind of works with the financing, the original purchase, kind of a normal purchase. And then you go from that to more of using the CMHC MLI Select program. So there's a lot of things here in the works. And obviously there's, in Edmonton in particular, there's no zoning issues to worry about now, but if you're in another market, maybe there might be. There's time involved in that. Obviously, dealing with the older house, whether you're demolishing it or maybe selling it and somebody else taking it away, those factors have to be taken into account. So there's a lot of different things at play here. Brian, I'm curious. I see you're back now. I'm curious from beginning to end. Okay, so the day you find a property and maybe you put in your initial offer, to the day that property the construction is complete and now you have tenants in there, and you what kind of time period are we talking about here?
Yeah, that's awesome. So minimum 18 months.
Okay.
Minimum 18 months, 18 to 20 month range. So it's definitely a little bit more of a patient game and a longer term strategy for sure. But we're talking 6 months, 6 to 9 months to get our building permit.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. We can't start construction until we have an approved building permit. So that's when we can start building. So the actual construction component of it is roughly 10 to 12 months.
Okay. Gotcha.
Okay.
Gotcha.
All said and done. Now this is fully landscaped, everything turnkey done. And then you have your lease up period. This is another rule change with CMHC. Up until just prior to Christmas, we could refinance into MLI Select, the takeout financing, with a vacant building, with empty units. Now, we need to have all those units leased up.
Okay.
To get into the takeout financing, the MLI Select takeout. So there's another period of to allow for 2 to 3 months of leasing up. So one of the projects we just finished, it's a 6-unit building. We have 4 of the 6 units leased. Okay. There's still 2 vacant units that were available for rent. So we're still in the construction financing in that project. We cannot get into the takeout at CMHC MLI Select until all those units are filled, and we can prove the income of the property. So they want to prove the gross income.
Okay. And so what if you then lower the rents a little bit and you don't, is there an income quota that you have to meet in order to get the financing you were planning on? Okay. So you have to hit a certain amount of rent for the entire building in order to get what you were looking to get.
Yeah. So they base it off the DCR, the debt coverage ratio. Yeah. So typically with conventional financing, it's 1.25 DCR, somewhere in that range. With CMHC MLI Select, they require a 1.1 DCR. Okay. So you got to hit that. And that's what essentially they want to prove to, again, mitigate and lower their risk on the loan, right?
Okay.
So
makes a ton of sense. So in other words, for those that aren't familiar with DCR, correct me if I'm wrong, Brian, but that essentially means that if my costs are $1,000 a month, I need to rent it for $1,100 a month, which is 1.1 or 10% higher than what my costs are. Am I correct?
Okay. Yeah. $1.10 for every dollar of expense.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, this sounds like a lot of work in a lot of ways. I mean, you're not only searching for an older property, maybe one that people can rent out for a little while you go through the building permit process. You're maybe trying to sell something on Kijiji, a house to somebody that might want a primary residence or a cabin lake lot or whatever it might be. Then you're going through the design process, and then you're going through the construction process. And then, Brian, I want to know, is it worth it?
That's a good question, and that's a question that everyone needs to ask themselves. So,
Mhm.
we've determined, yes, it is. So everyone has their own criteria or
Yeah.
metrics or what they want to see, for a return. So we have that in place, and we know what we're aiming for, and what we want to see to make it make sense for us or not to make sense for us. So, yeah, we've determined that it does make sense, and there's value added equity. This has to be, you have to force value into the property. You have to increase, and have that forced appreciation component, or else it's not worth doing. So if that $2 million of cost and it's worth $2 million,
Mhm.
what's the sense in going through all the headache of developing it? You might as well go and buy it retail, turnkey off MLS, and
Right.
not benefit of all the work involved to capture that forced equity.
Yeah.
So, when you're forcing, I mean, yeah, there's got to be a percentage or a certain dollar value that you need to ask yourself, what makes it worth it? That if you're going to spend $2 million to do something, what's that value got to be to make it
Yeah.
worth it? So,
Yeah.
you know,
So at the end of the day, when we look at this investment, and just to stick to the numbers here to clarify for my mind, I've got at the end of the day with this $2 million cost to build, I have 100 grand in. So I have 100 grand into this whole project, roughly. Let's say maybe it's a little more than that, but I have 100 grand in. What do I have at the end of 18 months, or let's say 2 years go by, as far as equity, or as far as like, what am I going to cash flow every month now that it's all rented out? Like, what do I get at the end of the day after 2 years of this with my 100 grand?
so you get, I mean, of course you get that value added equity that we talked about. That's on day one. On day one of completion, and when those tenants, when the units are filled, you have a fully optimized building. So
Mhm.
all the big ticket items are taken care of. It's a
Mhm.
brand new construction, a brand new build. So, you're not going to, you can sleep good at night knowing that you're not going to have to replace a roof or replace any of the
Mhm.
mechanical components. So the big ticket items are taken care of. So essentially, on the operations side, in theory, the repairs and maintenance are going to be a lot lower, and it's going to be
Mhm.
a smooth operating property for years to come,
Mhm.
with less potential headaches. So, you have it comes with the full warranty. So you have a 10-year progressive home warranty on that. So a lot of, if anything does go wrong, a lot of the items are covered or, under warranty. So,
Yeah.
you're gonna have a higher tenant profile.
Yeah.
It is a brand new build. What's not to love? I
Yeah.
think everyone would love to live in a brand new build home.
Yeah.
Maybe not, but it's pretty attractive to a lot of people. So, you have that component that people are gonna want to live there. They're gonna be happy living there. They're gonna feel good living there. That it's they're a newly built home, so they're hopefully gonna stay longer. And if you treat them well, they should, in theory. So,
Yeah.
cash flow side of things, on the financial or the investment performance of it, yeah, you get all the same components of real estate. You have mortgage pay down, you have over the long term value appreciation, and yes, you do have cash flow. The fourth one is that value added equity through developing.
Yeah.
So going forward, I mean, they do cover themselves, they cash flow. It's relatively low maintenance, and that's
Yeah. Love it. Okay. Awesome. You're getting cash flow, you're getting built-in equity, you're getting high quality tenants, you're getting new stuff, you're getting low maintenance repairs. These are all the things that us as investors look for in a property. And so, is there more work involved to get to that stage? Absolutely. But this is kind of where, for those that are watching here, Brian, some people, I can guarantee you, are watching this and saying, that's way too much work for me. which is okay, because then that means then I partner with somebody like Brian, right? Then I go to Brian and I say, hey, listen, let's do one of these together. And then Brian takes care of the work because he's done it before. He has the experience. And so that's kind of how it goes. And that's what we do in this business, guys. It's called joint venturing. And we talked about that all last month. So Brian, do you have available, just to show those that are watching, a few pictures? What do these things look like? We've been talking about them now for 50 minutes. Are you able to share some pictures as to what they look like?
Absolutely, I can. Yeah, I just need to figure out how to share the screen here.
Okay, so you should be able, do you have a little button that says present?
I do, yeah.
Okay, so if you present and then you share screen and then you pick which screen you want to share, it'll pop up on my side and then I can add it to the, just let me know. As soon as you do that, then I'll be able to see it.
Yeah, so I just got the exterior of one of them. This is one that we've completed.
Perfect. I don't see it yet.
Okay. Let's see where. Okay. I got you now.
There we go. Something's coming. Hold on, guys. Okay, so what I see is a picture. There we go. Here we go. We're going to add it.
There we go.
All right. So is this 6 units?
This is 6 units here. Yeah.
Okay.
So we have 3 main floor units and 3 basement suite units here.
Okay. So this is obviously in Edmonton.
This is in Edmonton, West Edmonton. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, guys. So this is the kind of property we're talking about. You got 3 separate units. You have 3 base. So the entrances, I'm assuming, to the basement suites, are they in the back, or is one of them there in the front?
In the front middle unit, you can see that exterior stairwell that goes down.
Yeah. Okay.
That that's the access to the front basement suite unit.
Okay.
And the entrances to the end units are on the back.
Okay.
On the back. So, and Corey, one other thing to touch on, what do you get in the end of this? It's also a solution to the problem that we're seeing right now with the influx of the growth in population. The MLI Select program was built for, it seems like it was built for these types of products, adding more units to the market.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Let's go through. That's just a front. I do have, can you see that, Corey?
Yeah, you bet.
Okay. So this is one of the end units. This is a unit that we staged and we used it as a show suite to run through potential tenants. So this is an end unit. When you looked at that front exterior picture, it was the main floor unit on the far left.
Okay.
So we're in the front entry here. This is the front closet, front entry, and coming into the living room. So this is an eye guide, so we can kind of do a walkthrough tour a bit coming into the
show
unit.
us through. So give me an idea. What is this unit rent for? What kind of rent are you getting?
We're getting $2,350, utilities included, for this main floor.
Okay, gotcha.
$2,350 on the main floors and $1,300 in the basements, utilities included. So total of 3650.
3650, yeah, times 3, so you're 9. You're what? Almost $11,000 a month rent you're getting out of these buildings. That's this building.
Yep. Yeah.
Sweet.
So
we have a couple questions here. Ermel is asking, are they affordable or energy efficient? What is your path to 100 points on MLI Select?
Good question. So with these, and this is why I believe the MLI Select was built for this product, we are 100 points on the affordable component only.
Okay.
And I'll tell you how or why. So the affordability, as you know, some of us might know, is based on the median renter income, and every market is a little bit different. But what that breaks down to in Edmonton is $1,665 a month in rent.
Okay.
So $1,665 a month in rent deems a unit affordable.
Okay.
Oops. Oh, we went up the stairs. So where we get our 100 points of affordability here, and Hermel mentioned this, I believe, also, is CMHC doesn't have any requirements on the size of the unit, the square footage of the unit, how many bedrooms, or anything like that. It's just based on the rents. So the basement suites in these units, they rent for $1,300 a month at market rent. So
Yeah.
anything that's lower than the 1665 a month is deemed affordable. So we have 2 of these units in the basement under the affordability at market rent, but qualify for the affordability component at 100 points.
Okay. Okay. So well, don't you have 3 in the basement that would then qualify?
Technically, yes, 3 they would all qualify, but the program only
Okay.
requires you to have 25% of your units at
Okay.
affordable rate. So in an 8-unit building, 2 of the basement suites are under the affordability.
Okay. Gotcha. That's
Under
sweet.
the
Okay.
affordability program.
Okay. Love it. And then that enables you, once you hit that mark and you get the 100 points, that enables you to then get the 5% down, correct?
That's fully optimizing the program at 95%. Yeah.
Okay.
5% down at 50-year amortization.
Love it. Amazing. And I can tell by the pictures here, Brian, the little tour you're giving us here of the property, that it looks awesome. I mean, who wouldn't want to rent a property like this? You're in an inner, well-developed neighborhood in Edmonton, close to everything, and you get a new home like this. Super cool. So thanks for sharing those pictures, Brian. Love it. Guys, I think we could probably do 2 hours on this, because I got a million more questions for you, Brian, but we're starting to run out of time here. And I know that a lot of the people watching this, and we've had roughly 50 people on average the entire hour we've been here watching this live, really appreciate what you've shared with us. There's a lot of really good points here that I didn't know before, and that I'm sure a lot of other people here haven't as well. And so thanks for sharing this with us, Brian. I have one last question for you.
Let's hear it.
How do you transition to doing this? Like, if I say, okay, I want to do what Brian's doing, what would your suggestion be for me? Where do I start?
I think it all starts with the mindset. I mean, I think that's a good place to start, and getting prepared for that. Partnering with someone that does it would be a good start, I think.
Yeah.
You know, not knowing, you know, there is a lot of moving parts to it, you know, but I also started, you know, with it. I do have a background in construction and been in it for 20 years, but you know, before I did my first one, I've never done that also, right? So you got to start somewhere. So you know, I think getting educated, meeting people, partnering with someone, teaming up with a good builder.
There's a lot of moving parts to what you're doing, Brian, and I appreciate the fact that you are kind of like, you already have your fingers in this industry of building and etc. You know, it's a part of the industry that I've never really gotten. I mean, we've built a couple duplexes and fourplexes and stuff like that, but we've never really gotten into it like you're doing. And I, of course, I hired a builder to do all of that stuff for me, because I'm not a builder, and you know, some of this stuff is just like way out of my league. So guys, for those of you watching, if I was going to do this, what I would do is I would partner with somebody like Brian and maybe do one of these with them. You're going to learn the process. He's going to show you what's going on. He's not going to keep everything to himself in secret. And he's going to, then if you feel as though you want to do this on your own, you go out and do it on your own. Or maybe you just continue partnering with somebody like Brian. So Brian, if somebody is interested in finding out more about how to work with you and maybe do this kind of stuff, best way to reach you would be on Facebook, I'm assuming.
You got it. Yeah, right here on Facebook is probably the easiest, best way.
Perfect.
I do have a website, freedomvestproperties.com. You can check that out. But yeah, message me on Facebook. We can take it from there. If I'm happy to share. I'm happy to help. Whatever that looks like. And wherever I can. So feel free to reach out for sure.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Brian. You shared a lot of little gems today and showed maybe a world of investing to some of our viewers that they haven't seen before. So we really appreciate that. And guys, if you want to connect, Jules just sent the link or put the link in the chat there to connect with Brian if you have some questions or maybe you want to work with him on a project like this. Really appreciate that, Brian. And we had a great start to our frequently asked questions February. So really appreciate you coming on. Thanks again, Brian.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you having me, and great to be here. And I give a lot of credit and thank you and you and Tiffany for everything that you've done for me too. So I really appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah,
absolutely. Love it. Okay. We'll see you soon, Brian. All right, guys, that is our Tactical Tuesday for this week. We talked about new build investments, and we talked from somebody that is actually doing it right now. You saw some of the pictures of the stuff that he's doing. And so this is a great avenue, and we've had a ton of questions. That's why we thought we'd start off February with this is, how do new builds work? How does the financing work? All of that sort of stuff. If you were wondering, is this something I could get into? I don't want to leave today's training without saying, hey guys, join us on our boot camp. We are doing a boot camp that starts on February 23rd. That's just in a few weeks from now. We have a 25% off. Our 50% early bird is over. If you're hearing this for the first time, I'm sorry. But we still have a 25% discount on our boot camp. We are going to cover how to raise capital. We are going to cover how to... you're going to learn how to properly analyze properties, neighborhoods, markets. You're going to connect with some of the best investors like Brian, for example, all across the country that are doing this kind of stuff. You're going to build up your network. You're going to learn how to talk to these people and really improve your portfolio when it comes to real estate. So guys, if you haven't joined yet, you still have a couple of weeks to do that, but join tonight, join now, don't wait. Commit yourself. Those who pay, it's 125 or 150 bucks, something like that, to join our boot camp. Those who pay attention, and that's why we have a dollar amount that we're asking for this boot camp. We don't make a ton of money off of this. The reason we're doing it is so that, number one, you learn the basics to raising capital. You learn the basics to moving your real estate business forward. And I'm sure many of our Ignited members who have been to our boot camps will throw in the chat here that they have had great experiences there and it's changed the trajectory of their lives. And so guys, we haven't done one in over a year. And so a new one is coming up and we've added a ton of new stuff, some new speakers to it as well. And we'd love to see you there. So join us in our boot camp, February 23rd, guys. And we will move you forward. Simple as that. That's it for tonight. We will see our Ignited members over in our laser session, which starts here. We're a couple minutes late already. We're going to start it right away. And Ermel is going to be hosting it tonight, and it's multifamily oriented tonight. So bring your multifamily questions if you're an Ignited member. For the rest of you, thanks for joining us. Have a great evening, and we will see you again next week. Take care, guys.